only thing with the White Sox, I say they've been coasting into the playoffs, and Tampa Bay's been having to win. It just depends on who gets hot.
The Philadelphia Eagles do have an opportunity.
To be honest, I thought you were going to say the Atlanta Falcons.
No, fuck no.
Oh god, yeah, that would have been warranted.
Paul George to show up again, and they need Reggie Jackson to be the best point guard left standing outside of Trae Young, who's hurt.
What is going on, everybody? I know Keith isn't here again. You guys can get mad at him for that one. But we do have a special guest. He is a host of the Damn Sports Show on ESPN Beaver Dam. He's also a host of Armchair Fantasy Football over on YouTube. So you guys can go give him a follow. That is the one and only CORY SPARKS. How are you, sir?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invite. I was in the drive-through at Culver's getting a pumpkin spice shake, and I was like, "Hey, I'll be home in an hour." Yeah, we can
Perfect.
do this.
Perfect. You know, Keith is he travels a lot now. I guess he's had to come home and then back here and then a wedding. I'm like, dude, you should just not have friends. It's a lot easier. Just don't have friends. Just come to the podcast. You have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And he's just procrastinating. He doesn't know how to pack. He doesn't know how to be ready. It's okay. That's okay. We love Keith. Keith is Keith. But yeah, how about let's get into our game. Let's get into some Weddle, and then we have a lot to get to with some NFL. The Hop was traded. I know you probably have some insight with that in fantasy. Obviously, Devontae last week, Amari last week. I don't think there was any other big moves or shakes. Those were.
I don't think so. Salah's on the Packers
coaching
squad now.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing there. I'm not sure it's a good thing. I am good with our defense the way it is, but okay, I'm okay with a little talk here or there. But let's get into this. I always let Keith go first, so I will give you the courtesy of going first. This is Weddle normal. For those that don't know, the normal is only offensive players. The hard mode is any player, specialist included. I don't know about long snappers, but kickers and punters are in here for the hard mode. But right now, just give me an offensive player, skill player.
Oh, this is going to be morbid, but let's go Chris Godwin.
Yikes, that is yucky. Okay. So he is in the AFC. He is a wide receiver, and he's under 6'1".
Gotcha.
He's 5'11" or 6 foot. He is 26 and younger than 27, and he's numbers lower than 14.
Okay.
AFC. Okay, I was gonna say, how about DeAndre Hopkins? But I think he's too tall.
Okay.
And he's way too old.
What Bateman?
Rashad Bateman.
AFC
I love
North.
it. Okay. He's
All right,
24. Still 6'1". Okay, he's right there.
He's too tall.
Not in the north. And he's between 8. I don't know. I guess he's between 9 and 12 is his number.
Okay.
All right. How about AFC South? Ugh, that's gross. AFC South. Darnell. No, that's NFC.
AFC South. Pittman? No, Pittman's not 24. There's no way Pittman's 24 years old.
Thank you, my good friend Matthew. How are you, my friend?
Hey, there we go. I haven't seen that name in a bit.
I know. Mr. I shoot everything for the NFL now and NHL, and I don't know what other sports you're going to pick up. Probably if Denver has a MLS team, you'll do that too.
I like it.
Man.
What about who's that vertical threat for the Broncos who gets the ball like twice a game and gets 90 yards from last year? Yes.
Marvin Mims.
I don't know why that's sticking out to me.
Okay.
Okay.
On
All
pace. Right. AFC South or AFC
short.
East? The East. AFC East. AFC East. Yikes. So he's 6 foot. He's 6 foot on the dot. 24. Man. This is This is tough.
This is going to be tough because some of those teams are pretty sorry right now.
Right. That's why I'm like AFC East or the Bills don't.
Is it Waddle?
Does his number fit there? He's like 10, isn't he?
I think he's 11.
Reek's not going to be 24, obviously.
No. Waddle's young. Waddle might be older than 24, though.
I like Waddle. We'll see if he's in the... Okay, he is in the East.
Okay.
He's 5'10". He's right around there. He's 25. We're in the ballpark.
Oh, he's 17. That's on me. In my head, he was 11 for some reason.
Okay, so we're in the East. That's good. We have our division. That's usually a killer. Jets, Patriots, but Bills. Yikes. I'm sorry. Khalil Shakir?
Okay.
Do we know his number?
He's 13.
13?
Yeah. And he's young. Aha!
Bang.
We should have just had you start. I went 0 for 4.
Daily hard.
All right.
Any position.
Go Rashawn Gary.
That's my guy. He had a good game last week.
He did. That pass rush was amazing.
Nothing.
Awesome start. All
Back to offense. Back to offense in the AFC. That's what we got. Let me see. AFC. How about Quentin Nelson?
I like it.
Okay.
All right.
We're in the AFC and I don't know what. Oh, that's offense. Okay. AFC North, East, or West.
What if we go Hopkins? Go D-Hop?
Hopkins. Even if they haven't updated it.
Yeah, we'll find
He's
out.
32.
Okay,
Older.
32-year-old.
Under 6'1". So he's smaller. Maybe a running back or a slot guy? God, we got to do more. Okay, so they didn't update it. Oh, no. Oh, they didn't update it.
Then. Yeah, we're still in the
No,
South.
they didn't. No, that's not on you because he would be in the West. He's
right.
But, that just happened today. You can't really get mad at him for that. He's 32. Can't imagine AFC. I'm thinking I got the West in my head. I can't imagine it's anyone on the Chiefs. I don't. Just be. What's the number? Could this be like a Devontae Adams?
That could be.
If it's not updated? Oh, either way, he's in the AFC.
Yeah.
Devontae.
Okay. So
I'm dumb. We had wide receiver. We know it's
that's
not
all
a wide
good.
receiver.
We're striking out divisions though.
Man,
so
we are
going to be
so it's
North or East.
North or East.
Mark Andrews?
Under 6'1" or under
never
mind.
But
age would fit. Man.
Who's older?
In the AFC East. AFC, this is tough. Usually we kill this. It's tough. How about a running back? An old Raheem Mostert.
Oh. I think you might have labeled it because I'm pretty sure Mostert is 32 years old. Oh, good call.
Bang.
I'm like 32-year-olds that are short. Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be a running back. All right. That is a great start. We keep the streak alive. All right. We got some football to talk about, but I want to touch on it just a little bit. The World Series. It's about to happen. Starts on Friday, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I asked Keith, because I went on a rant last week about the Yankees roll call. How do you feel about the Yankees roll call? Do you know what it is?
I do not, actually. I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay. Well, great. I get to get on this again, and the Yankee fans are going to hate me again in the comments. No problem. It's this nerdy-looking dude, dork-looking of a guy. He stands out in right field, I believe, and they have, like, bleachers, I guess, similar to the Brewers.
Sure.
And they yell at each player, like, Aaron Judge, Aaron, and then they do, like, a signature. Like, I think Judge's is, like, he flexes on them. Rizzo's is like he does the Italian thing. Like Ben Rice does like the eating a bowl of rice. Like,
okay.
I like the player side of it. But I think it's the guy who does it. I think I hate it.
So it's cheesy for you. Is that what it is?
I think it's because of the guy that does it. Like, I want to pull it up because I think I could get behind it if he was cool.
Mhm.
Here we go. Yep, this is. We're not going to get struck down. No problem. Okay, so this is the guy right here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear, but look, just the way he stands, and then he's like, this guy just and then he's and then they start yelling. I don't know where the sound is, but that's fine. It's just, and then they start chanting at him, like, like, I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. And then they go to him, they do a play, and here's Judge.
They're all in on it.
Yeah, they're all in on it, and it's not that I hate the guy that does it.
Yeah, he silences everyone. He's like, I'm the conductor. You listen to me.
And they're like, that's his job. I'm like, yeah, but that guy sucks. Find a new guy. And I didn't get roasted, but people were like in the we posted the clip last week of me bitching about it. And they're like, so basically you hate it because of the guy. I'm like, correct.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably have anyone else. And I'd be like, I kind of like that.
Sure.
Because they do the same thing every time that they do it. So I get it, but I just think Yankees, I know I'm on you 2 weeks in a row, but fix your roll call. Get a new guy.
That's fair. Who do you have in the series?
I hate both teams.
Yeah.
I hope the Yankees win because then Juan Soto will leave and come to the Cubs.
Oh, I would love that. I would love for the Cubs to make a move in general.
Yeah, I'll take anyone on the Cubs. And I know you're a Cubs fan as well. But I think the Yankees winning will let Juan Soto be like, yeah, I got my ring. I'm going to go get a bag. I don't really care. I'm good now.
That's fair. I think I've got Yanks in 7. Both of those teams, I feel like the one upside is everyone knows the names, right? Like you have Shohei, you've got Judge, is Garrett Cole going to finally perform on the biggest stage ever? Like a lot of different storylines you can go with. I think the Yankees are a little deeper, but knowing if you are a fan of claiming that sports are scripted, this is going 7 regardless. There's no way this goes less than 7. So
here's the thing, none of them have a good. Garrett Cole's probably the best pitcher left, but even he has fallen short multiple times.
Yep.
So they don't really. There's no Tariq Skubal. There is no ace. There is no.
Yeah.
I mean, Garrett Cole is an ace, but
Walker Buehler's had a bad year. Otherwise, I'd say him. But
right, and neither of them have stellar bullpens. I would know or you would know as well. They traded for a Cubs reliever. They weren't very good until they traded him away.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. I think also because Rizzo is healthy and he's on the Yankees, I'd be okay with him getting a second ring.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. And I think that would make the Yankee phenomenon that will happen tolerable.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's Shohei, it's Freddie Freeman, it's Mookie Betts. Arguably, the only better lineup is Stanton, Judge, and Soto. And you get to see that 2-3-4 or 1-2-3 or however you want to say it. You get to see 2 of the best middle of the order lineups battle, which I'm okay with. And I hope they have juice balls and we just hit home runs.
So that's my thing, right? Is a lot of people are like, oh, screw the big markets. And I know I work in Wisconsin as well as you. And I'm sure the different circles around you are like, oh, I hate this. I want the small market team and the Brewers to do well. At least the curse is broken. They didn't lose to a World Series finalist finally. So that's the first time that's happened where the team was eliminated.
But I think,
right?
or 15, the last 15 playoff series or something like that.
It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I think as someone who's a baseball fan and wants eyes on the game, this is the best way to get it. For all those who are saying don't let the big markets eat, the fact of the matter is Los Angeles and New York are the 2 biggest areas in the entire country. So this is where people are going to get attracted from. So even if no one else watches the World Series, but everyone in LA and everyone in New York, it's probably going to set a record. So that's good for the game at least. But
yeah. But also like this doesn't happen.
No.
Usually it's one. Like last year, Texas wasn't a big market, but they're still Dallas. That's pretty big. But Arizona's not.
Right.
Like you have coast to coast, East versus West. You have that East Coast, West Coast dynamic. Like I can name you all the World Series matchups, but Houston has been in so many of them. They're not a massive market. They're not even their biggest market in their own state. It's usually maybe one of them and then a Guardians or
Philly,
the Royals. Royals back in 15 or Cubs Guardians in 16 but like I'm glad it's not New York. That would
Subway Series. No.
That would no one wants that. That's like having Michigan, Ohio State in like the national championship. I'm like, I don't want that. No one wants that. Just because if you lose that game, it's similar to what happened to Duke, North Carolina in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. It was like either the Elite Eight game or the Final Four game to go, and it's like, oh wow, that gets to be part of our history now. No one likes that. I don't.
Yeah, it feels like those rivalry games need to be separate. Yeah.
So, I was just curious. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun. I don't typically watch a ton of baseball. I just the total for tomorrow or for Friday is 8.5. Usually they sit around 6.5 or 7.5. So they're expecting fireworks, which
we're gonna see some scoring.
I'm good with that. If we get like a lot of 9-8, 7-7, or 7-8, 12-9, like some high, I'm okay with that. Make it entertaining. Just I don't want to see a sweep. There's just no way it could be a sweep.
No,
I want to see. I would love to see like Game 7. Shohei comes out bottom of the ninth to pitch.
Just, actually, he can throw.
He'd be like, oh, actually, he's been waiting for this exact moment. And he has to face like Judge Stanton and Soto and just see what happens. Just see what happens.
That'd be insane.
Do you want to talk about script writing? There you go.
That's the one thing we're missing, right? We're not going to get Shohei's arm. If we add that on top of all the different elements and all the star power we're going to see in the next 2-ish weeks, that'd be nuts. Shohei just throwing 100 at all of those guys.
I hope he transitions away from starting to being a reliever / closer, like a maybe like an 8-9 guy, or even the closer. Just be like, hey, we're gonna put you in the 8th. You have the 8th and 9th. It's there you go. And I mean, Shohei's that guy's otherworldly, but all right, let's get to some football. Let's start with the NFL because we have a game. Well, we have college game tonight, but no one really cares about that game. Since we have an actual decent game starting tomorrow, we have the Vikings and the Rams for Thursday Night Football. Who you got? What do you like? Anything that stands out to you? Minnesota goes to LA. Minnesota 5-1, Rams 2-4.
Yeah, LA's been scrappy all year, injuries and all. So at first I was a little shocked by the spread, seeing it was only around a field goal. And I'm like, I'll jump all over that. But the Vikings are on the road. LA has played a lot of teams really tough, despite the fact they've been shorthanded. And they do get Cooper Kupp back this week. So that's great news for them. I think the Vikings are still going to take it. I'm not sure I'd do anything other than money line. And I like the fact that there should be a lot of scoring. I know Brian Flores' team likes to blitz. They're able to pressure the quarterback a lot. But, I mean, having Cooper Kupp, somebody who we've grown accustomed to seeing get 12, 15 targets a game and be the cornerstone of this offense, just having him on the field, I think is going to help the Rams so much. So I like the Vikings to get their 6th win. I think that they bounce back after a tough loss against a really good Detroit Lions team. But I don't think that they just blow the doors off the Rams in their own house. That's just, I don't like associating coaches with play style of teams always. I really do think it's usually a matter of the guys. But I will say Sean McVay's team is going to make it hard on whoever goes into SoFi. So if I had to throw a score on it, I'd say like 28-23 Vikings. It's going to be close.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm on the Vikings. I think Puka are also coming back to practice. I don't know. I don't think he's cleared for the game as Kupp is, but just having that juice back with, hey, Kupp's in, Puka's at least possibly practicing or more back around the team. They're your two studs. They're your guys. You get them back now week 7 or week 8. And I think that's just going to kind of invigorate the Rams a little bit. I don't Their defense has some issues, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I mean, Stafford hasn't played great either. He's only thrown 3 touchdowns. But Kyron Williams plays well. So
I love Kyron. Fantasy especially. He's a touchdown scorer. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks, about 1,400 yards. That's it through 8 or 7 games. That's not good.
No, it's been an ugly start.
Decent amount of yards, but no really results. They do, surprisingly, despite being a Thursday game, they have the second highest total projected at 48.5. They're the second highest, only behind the Packers and Jags, which kind of surprises me, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see the Jags scoring a ton on that Packers defense.
Yeah, I mean, they did last week, but they stayed the extra week in London. It was the Patriots. But I could also see this being like a vintage, like that Cowboys game where it's like, it's 45-7. And it's like, oh, they just beat the shit out of them. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think so I could see it. Like the Packers offense is fully capable of that when they're clicking 100%. And the gunslinger's here to play. So it's always fun, but yeah, I was a little surprised to see a Thursday night short week game have that high of a point total. But since we have the Vikings here, I was kind of looking ahead at the other NFC North teams, and you're a fan of the NFC North, as am I, and as is Keith. And so the whole show is big NFC North teams. All 3 of us have different teams at that. You are a Bears fan.
Yep.
You are the lone wolf who could get caught this week. Everyone else looks primed to keep winning. Vikings have the Rams. Packers got the Jags, and then Lions got the Titans. We all look like we're going to move on to be 5 or 6 wins. Y'all got the Commanders. I don't. If you win, kudos.
Yeah.
Regardless if Daniels plays or not, Commanders are a good football team. They have a good squad. They buy into what's going on out there. That you're not prime time, but you get the afternoon slate, 1 of 4 games in the afternoon slate. On the road, talk to me about your Bears. How you feeling about them? How do you think that's going?
Right, like the full cop-out is it's fully dependent on whether or not Jaden Daniels plays, and I want him to play because even if the Bears go in and lose, you are going up against an MVP candidate, and you're getting the best version of a contending Commanders team. Now, let's be honest, the NFC North is a bloodbath, and we're about to see that first and foremost the next couple months. So I want, as a Bears fan, to see them play against another tough team. Their most recent, tough opponent was the Texans, and that was an ugly game. And Houston hasn't really been playing great football either. And now they don't have Nico Collins. So I'm a little worried that if Daniels doesn't play and the Bears don't boat race them, all of a sudden you start to go, well, how good is this team? But they are a legit team. Terry's having a great year. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is getting more and more efficient. My big knock on him his rookie year is he's averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. That's gotten better year over year. They're really complete. And what shocked me about them, T-Bone, is their defense. I picked on their defense as a fantasy owner a lot last year.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Panthers, right? But they shut them down. And they've shut a couple teams down this year to the point where they don't have to put up 30, 35 points to win. Maybe they only have to put up 24 or 27. And from what we've seen from Jaden Daniels in this offense, wire to wire, that's more than enough. Like, they're going to be able to hit that mark. I'm interested to see how the Bears defense performs because they've been suffocating so far. And if Daniels is in there, as a general football fan, that's a matchup I want to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list of like games I want to watch on Sunday. It's just because as it sits right now, all 4 NFC North teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Which is wild, but it's like, no, that could track. I don't know how it would work out scheduling wise, and if it's possible to get all 4. 3, I think is possible.
Very possible.
With how ahead the Lions and Vikings both are, and the Packers only a game behind them. Like, I see that as very possible, having 3 of them. And I don't think if you're any of the other 3 teams, you want to see anyone in the NFC North. You don't want to see the Vikings. You don't want to see Jordan Love coming to your town. You're like, whoa, Jesus. Or vice versa. Whoever wins the North, probably the NFC favorite. Yeah. Is that bold to say? If you win the North, you're the favorite?
I don't think it's a stretch because going into the season, you'd take the cop-out answer of going, well, the Niners are stacked, all across their roster. But now they're so bruised up, they haven't looked sharp. And you have to hope that at some point when Christian McCaffrey comes back, he doesn't go out again. This was supposed to be a 1 or 2 week injury, and then you blink and he's on IR. Yeah, I would say right now at this very moment, the Lions of all teams are my favorite to get out of the NFC. But it's so early, and we've seen little to no divisional games. So once these teams start clashing, that's where I'm really going to get interested, sit back and go, here's your contender. No, I 100% agree with you. Whoever gets out of the North is the favorite to get out of the conference right now.
Yeah, it's just,
Bloodbath.
It's fun. It's fun because the Bears are finally decent, and it's like, well, maybe. The Bears the Bears have a ridiculous second half stretch of division games, meaning obviously they play the other 3 really good teams in their division, plus the Niners, and you guys have someone.
Yeah.
Who you got? Yeah. I think after the Patriots on the 10th, you get Packers, Vikings, Lions, Niners, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers.
That's
a brutal stretch.
Yeah.
And I definitely see them picking up some of the game. Like they're going to win some of those, but that's just a brutal stretch. Having that, to have 5 division games in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That is for both. I mean, obviously for both of them, because I think the Packers are a little bit spread out.
Yeah, because the Packers have one under their belt already. They played the Vikings a couple weeks ago, but no, I mean,
they go Lions, they go Jags this week. Then they have Lions, Bears, 2 non-division games. Lions, 2 non-division games, 2 division games. So they get broken up a little bit. The Bears probably have the most brutal one with 5 and 6 weeks, and it's like you have to be on. You can't, and your off week are the 49ers. So it's like,
who should be awake by that point? I think I saw going into this week from an opponent's win percentage standpoint, the Bears have far and away the toughest remaining schedule. And you just read it off. Like as soon as you hit November, all bets are off. Like you have to show up. So that's why this game's important too. Because if they don't get win number 5 here, we might be waiting a little bit. Well, now they got I shouldn't say that. They have the Patriots and Cardinals coming up. But if you don't get win number 5 now, you might not see win number 8. Like you might not see win number 9 because that's a brutal stretch.
Yeah, like no one wants to hear that either. But so what is it? Week 12 is the 20th and 26th. I'm trying to see who's on. When is the 28th? I'm trying to look. Oh my God. Okay. So I was just looking to see, hey, what do we got for Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Chicago at Detroit. New York at Dallas. Miami at Green Bay, in that order.
Am I crazy or did Miami play Green Bay? It was either on Christmas or Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember.
I think they did.
Because that was when Jair picked off Tua and did the hilarious post-game interview. Yeah. Gave the ball to his man.
But then we also have a Friday game.
Oh, that's right.
Vegas at Kansas City.
Oh, jeez.
That's fun.
And
then week 16 is the Christmas week. Or sorry, week 17 is Christmas. Oh my God, this is. So they went back to putting games on Christmas because Christmas is a Wednesday. They have 2 games Wednesday, a game Thursday. They skip Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday.
Jeez.
2 games on Christmas on Netflix. On Netflix.
That's right. Netflix is getting their feet wet in the sports sphere now.
Great, cool. I'm in. Kansas City at Pittsburgh on Christmas Day should be a good game.
Yeah.
Baltimore at Houston.
Oh, that should be very good.
Holidays are going to be fun. I'm not going to be watching NBA this year because the Bucks aren't playing.
I know. They took them out of the main slate, which is interesting.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. Make them under the radar.
Talk about NBA. That team. I got some props out there tonight.
Yeah.
I have them winning. I have Tyrese Maxey scoring a bunch because the other 2 stars are out. But yeah, I mean, we kind of divulged a little bit, but that's what we do here. What is another game outside of the ones we discussed? What is your I'm keeping an eye on that. Maybe not one you're going to sit down and watch because there are some stinkers on the.
Yeah.
There's two games that are in the 3:30 slot that the spread is 10. And that is Panthers, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders.
That's so bad. So it won't be those.
No.
I'm intrigued. Kirk Cousins threw over 500 yards against the Buccaneers defense and beat him in overtime a couple weeks ago. I want to see that rematch. I'm not as excited because there's going to be no Chris Godwin or no Mike Evans, but that could be a game that we look back on in a couple months and go, that's what determined the winner of the South, right? Because the Saints don't look great and the Panthers are lucky to win 3 games this year. That one's interesting. The Bengals are starting to shake out of the early season slump that they've had since Joe Burrow's rookie year. And the Eagles all of a sudden could fall victim to dropping 2 of their last 3 and falling all of a sudden to 4-3. So I would be interested in just seeing, are the Bengals fully back? Are they still shaking off some cobwebs? Or are we looking at a team that maybe isn't what they have been in years past? That's kind of one of those pretender and contender teams. I think we find out what side of the aisle Cincinnati's on after this week.
Yeah, I mean, they're 0-3 at home. That's gross.
It's very odd. Those poor
fans. And they are at home. They're in Cincinnati. I mean, Burrow's having a very sneaky good year passing. I mean, 1,800 yards, 7-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Man, that is...
Oh shoot. I messed up. So the Eagles have won back-to-back. The game that I was thinking of, they lost to the Buccaneers 3 weeks ago. So the Eagles are actually on the doorstep of winning 3 straight. I don't think they've looked awesome, but they did dominate the Giants. Yeah, Burrow, if they had a couple more wins, if they were 5-2 right now, I think Joey B would be like top 2, top 3 in the MVP combo. And he's still up there, but wins are usually a quarterback stat. So the fact that they've got 4 losses in late October, not ideal. But if I were to bet, I mean, they're field goal favorites. I would take the Bengals in this one because I do think they're heating up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the stats also for Saquon, and then right underneath it, they have Derrick Henry. I mean, those 2 guys they have to be the favorites to win the Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, I think Derrick Henry's got it right now. He could have almost a 2,000-yard season again.
Man, I don't want to hear that because I want Saquon to win it. But I mean, oh man, I mean, Henry's almost got like 200 extra yards on him.
Yeah.
It's there's one extra game. Ravens haven't had their bye. Eagles have had their bye.
Okay.
So, that makes me feel a little bit better when they both just ripped off like 170-yard games last week. But
yeah,
I forgot Eagles are 1 less behind them. They had their bye. But yeah, man, I mean, I believe you cannot give the MVP and Offensive Player of the Year to the same teammates.
That's fair.
And so I'm like, all right, Lamar, keep playing. Like, you can't give the MVP to Lamar because if you go, you're the Offensive Player of the Year, be like, dude, you're not even the best player in your team. What are we talking about?
They're ridiculous. And I saw something earlier where it was like if Isaiah Likely's foot was a little smaller and if the Raiders didn't have their best drive of the entire season, the Ravens are undefeated. They started out 0-2 and everyone's like, oh, they won another one. They won another one. They're arguably a couple of plays away from being the only other undefeated team outside of Kansas City. And if you ask most people who looks better between the Chiefs and the Ravens right now, they're going to say the Ravens because the Ravens quarterback doesn't lead the entire league in interceptions, yet everyone doesn't want to talk about it, right? Like, the fact that the Chiefs are undefeated and look the way that they do wows me. The Ravens, in my opinion, I'd put them up there with the best in the NFL right now. Yeah. There's a case that they're the best team and they're the Super Bowl favorite as well. Ravens, Lions, like that'd be my pick right now through 7 weeks.
That would be a bloodbath.
It would be.
That would be fun to watch. I like both teams. I like both coaches. Yeah, it would be something to watch. What did I just notice? That Burrow and Lamar, this goes to my MVP for Lamar case. Lamar's having a better passing year as of right now. He has
interesting.
Let's see, 7 games. Yeah, 7 games. They both have 7 games in. Joe Burrow, like I said, about 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. Lamar, over 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Wow.
He did just have 5 last game, I believe.
Yeah, he was throwing it all over on him. I mean,
So the Ravens are favored by 8.5 against the Browns. Lions are favored by 11 against the Titans. You have the Jets favored by a touchdown against the Patriots. Then you got Denver and Kansas City both favored by 10. Those are just some big spreads to cover.
Denver by 10, really? I know
I don't like that one.
Horrible.
I don't like that one. That one I would probably stay away from.
Yeah.
But I could do like a pretty low, just do money line of like Chiefs. Let's see, Chiefs.
I would take the Chiefs spread too, I think.
Yeah.
The Raiders are pretty bad right now.
10 is a lot, and they don't look good.
That's
Mahomes
true.
don't look good. Like, and they're in Vegas. You're going to go home and put up 10 on the home team? With Max.
I could see that defense turn into pick 6 and then the game's over. You know what I mean? That's probably what would have to be, though, because, like, the Chiefs are going desperation mode. They just threw a 5th, maybe 4th rounder for the shell of DeAndre Hopkins.
Which is hilarious to say the Chiefs are in desperation mode being the only undefeated team in the NFL, which is hilarious.
Right.
But that is definitely how it feels. Like, we are like surviving. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, he has nobody to throw to.
I guess that's a good little segue because you do a lot more in fantasy specific. What kind of value do you think this D-Hop brings to the Chiefs now? If any uptick, like you have to
it's so wide open, and conversely, Patrick Mahomes is going to elevate the fantasy value of almost anybody out there because A, he's really talented, and B, his number one receiver is like 35 years old right now, and the rest of his receiving core is hurt, in trouble, or unavailable by some extent. So I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be good for like 5 or 6 targets a game. What's going to happen with those, I'm really not sure. And maybe he'll have a monster performance here or there. I don't see him like all of a sudden, running it up and getting 800 yards for the rest of the season. That's not the DeAndre Hopkins that we have in the league anymore. No. But I do think he could play a decent role. This is a team that went back and got Juju Smith-Schuster. Rashee Rice was going to be remarkable. The targets have to go to somebody. I don't think they're going to trust him with everything. But I think, like, from a fantasy perspective, he's definitely worth more than he was a couple days ago. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm surprised they haven't tried to integrate Worthy a little bit more, because when we started, you and I started that week, and then he scored a touchdown. I don't think he scored one since.
Yeah.
It's been tough, but I don't know if it's just he's kind of going to be more of like a Deshaun Jackson burner and not a great route runner. That could just be because he's a rookie. He's got to work on some stuff. But I have been a little bit surprised that Worthy hasn't kind of stepped up and just gotten more targets. But Rice was there for a little while to begin the season, and Rice was the guy they were peppering targets to. So I think it's not D-Hop of the Texans. It's not even D-Hop of the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
But if he catches, you can't ignore him.
100%.
He won't. He's good enough to still make those plays. So I'm excited just because I don't really care about the Chiefs at this point, but I don't hate them or I don't love them. I don't whatever. So it'd be cool to see him kind of have a little resurgence. But past that, I'm not really. Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be more than 4 or 5 targets a game, maybe 3 for 60 or 3 for 50, and it's like maybe he catches a touchdown here or there, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm just looking around, right? Like Noah Gray's been getting a little more attention, and these are not household names by any means, but guys who know the offense and have had a lot of reps with Patrick Mahomes and know the playbook, obviously. Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman, and Sky Moore, who didn't turn out to be what any of us thought he was probably going to be. Those are guys who at least have so many reps that running their routes and getting in the right spots and looking for Mahomes' throw is like second nature. DeAndre Hopkins, as good as he is going to have to learn the mannerisms of Patrick Mahomes firsthand. So again, I think he's good for 4, 5, 6 targets, but there's still other guys out there who are a lot more familiar, especially this week. If D-Hop plays, he's questionable right now. There's guys out there who are in mid-season form, whereas DeAndre's got to learn a whole new playbook. So it's going to take a little time, but I'm shocked too, man. I thought Worthy was going to be, especially with all the guys that have been dropping like flies, I thought he was going to be him this year. Like, I thought he was going to be a
kind of almost. I think he could turn into be what Jaden Reed is for the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has that ability. It didn't. Jaden Reed had those like big plays his rookie year, and as he kind of came along, and now he's becoming more of like oh, this guy's a guy. He can be a guy. So, but that also, not to get back on the Packers, but that receiving core with Dobbs and everyone is like, oh, okay, they're all pretty solid. You can't ignore anyone, and none of them are really studs except maybe Reed, but jury's still out.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to go back to when you were previewing the Commanders game and their defense getting better. The key addition they had this offseason was none other than future Hall of Famer Bobby Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's their middle linebacker. I believe he leads the team in tackles. That guy's just a seasoned vet. Like I said, future Hall of Famer. You have a guy like that anchoring your middle linebacker or your linebacking core. It's going to shore up the defense no matter what. That's what I had said. I was like, oh, what did I want to talk about? And I forgot. It was that. I had it up on another tab. It was Bobby Wagner being the anchor of the Commanders' defense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, outside of the safeties, he sees everything, right? Like, he's able to make the people around him a lot smarter. He was a part of a Super Bowl winning team. And even if he doesn't have a ton of juice left in the tank, which he clearly does, judging by the tackles numbers, he's going to make a lot of guys around him a lot smarter just by the orders he's barking out. So I think that was a huge addition.
Just with his brain, he's going to be better and help the young guys. I don't have Keith's picks, but I will give my NFL picks of the week. I already put them in earlier today, so I had them for tonight. I have the Packers minus 4.5. Oh, now it's 4. Whatever, it went down. I think it was like 5.5. Now it's down to 4. Whatever. Packers minus 4.5. I have the Bills minus 3 against the Seahawks. And then I do have the Commanders money line. I have to. So
yeah, I hear you.
That is my picks for the NFL. Now we can kind of transition over to the college ranks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on. We get some decent football tomorrow night, actually. Syracuse versus Pittsburgh. Keith and I have been on Syracuse for a while. They're 5-1, going up against 6 undefeated Pittsburgh. They're in Pittsburgh. I think that's just going to be a fun game to watch. I haven't picked any of them. I refused to bet on Syracuse after they decided to destroy my soul. But that's okay. I'm okay with it. And then I would probably pick Pitt if I had to pick one, but that is not one of my bets. One of my bets of college football this week, though, is on the Friday night game. A little Mountain West action for you. The Boise State Bucking Broncos against the UNLV Running Rebs.
Mm-hmm.
Keith has been on the Rebs. I've been on Boise State. Austin Genty, must-watch TV. That guy is Michael Myers in the backfield. I love those clips on TikTok of
he's just
him standing
there,
and then he just takes off, and it's like, oh, this guy's just a killer.
He's horrifying. Yeah,
it's great. It's fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, I love that it's a Friday night game, late night, 9:30 game. I do have this as Boise. This is one of my picks, and I'll recap them all in a little bit after we kind of preview what's going on. Boise State minus 3.5. I think UNLV is going to be one of the better teams Boise State plays. But that over as well, 64.5, looking juicy. If you want, bet the over. Bet Austin Genty 100 yards and a touchdown for free money, I guess. No one's going to stop that guy.
Yeah.
I believe he is still on pace to break Barry Sanders' record. He is my Heisman favorite. I don't care that he plays in a group of 4 or a group of 5 team.
That's the big
conference.
thing, right?
It is. But if you are going to do that, you have to put up ridiculous numbers, and he is. So that was one of my first picks. What are some of your picks, or what do you kind of like game wise, or who? Since we kind of talk about Genty, how do you feel about the Heisman race going on? What are your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, I was a big Quinn Ewers buyer going into the season until he went down, and then that kind of got derailed, and Arch filled in pretty effectively. I would say it's a 2-horse race right now. I think it's between Genty and Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is having a phenomenal season. Now, both of them kind of have the same argument. The one ranked matchup that Miami was supposed to have in the back end of the year was Louisville, and then Louisville fell out of the sky, and they still put up 40 on that horrible defense. So I think I don't know. Maybe it helps Ward, though, right? If he has to throw for 304 every single time to win, you look at Miami and go, I don't know how good this team is, but I know how good this guy who can change his arm angle 5 different ways on command is. So I think it's Ward and GT. Good matchups this week. I want to say Texas Vandy because it's fun to see that Vandy's ranked, but I think they're going to kill him. I really do.
Yeah. There's actually a couple. There's quite a few top matchups I was just noticing. It's
Illinois, Oregon is probably my favorite that I'm looking at right now. I think that'll be a fun one because Illinois, they did this thing last year. I think they've done it the last 2 years now where they hang around, they crack the rankings, top 25, and then they run into legit opponents and they kind of fall back down to earth and go 7-5, 8-4. This feels like a different team. I don't know much about their roster. I know they had Chase Brown last year and I was riding him really high. I think be competitive in Oregon, and the cool thing about the 12-team playoff, right, is you can afford a loss or two.
Right.
This would be considered a very good loss. Just don't get blown out. So I could see this being competitive, like they lose by a possession and a half.
Sure.
So I'm really looking forward to that Big Ten matchup.
Oregon's favored by 21.5.
It's crazy to me.
3 touchdown favorite. That is, as people who listen and follow along, there are a couple teams that Keith and I have keyed in on. I have now taken over the love for the BYU Cougs because of their Jewish quarterback and what he kind of he played on Yom Kippur, and he was all just about this, like, hey, that's kind of frowned upon. Like, you're not supposed. I don't know, like, what you're supposed to do. I feel like it's like a religious holiday for the Jewish people. You're not really supposed to have physical activity. You're not really supposed to do much. And he was like, yeah, like, I'm not a traditionalist in this, but, like, I'm going to do this. And if that means people are hearing about my faith and what I believe in, I'm okay with that. I'm like, you know what?
That's pretty cool.
I'm not Jewish, but I like that. I like that. I like that you're just like, yeah, this is great. This is, I almost picked this as my game of the week, but BYU sold me about $800 last week on 2 different parlays because they couldn't win by double digits. They had to win by like 4 or whatever. So I left them off this week, but this is probably one of my second or my fourth play right off my list. So BYU 7-0 undefeated, number 11 in the country, on the road at UCF. UCF is favored by 2. I don't like it. I have them in a parlay of give me BYU plus money at 1 plus 110 in a different parlay. I couldn't put them in my main parlay. I couldn't do it after last week, but on the road, number 11 and UCF, by the way, is only 3-4. They're not like.
I was going to say, am I missing something here? I'm looking at the matchup right now. Why are they favored at all over the 11th ranked team in the?
I don't know.
Has BYU beaten anybody? Well, yeah, they stomped Kansas State a few weeks ago.
Yeah, BYU, the tough teams they've played, like, they play everyone pretty close. Like, Keith got me last week because BYU had never won by more than a touchdown, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so them being 9.5 point favorites seemed a little much, and it was, but they still won. It was a great game.
Yeah.
But I have their over in a different parlay of 55.5 because UCF can score the ball. They kept up with Colorado. Not that Colorado's that good, but I like BYU. The game that this is gonna sound weird.
Mm-hmm.
The game I am most looking forward to is Notre Dame against Navy.
Yeah, Navy and Army are both ranked.
No, first time in since World War II or something like that.
Right.
I don't know what people don't understand. I understand their Army Navy. They run their different option teams. Army is ranked higher. I will put that out there. Army is ranked higher. I think Navy is better.
Mm-hmm.
And Navy, this is the game that they have to prove they're legit. I have Navy as one of my second picks as plus 14.5. That offense, an option offense, man, that is going to be tough to stop. We've already seen Notre Dame lose to a MAC team who ended up not being legit in NIU.
Yeah.
And now NIU looked good at times, but they never looked dominant. Navy has destroyed teams time and time again. In a crazy world, give me Navy straight up. I would take them just to win. Like it. Yeah, I'm pumped for it. Keith got me on the Armed Forces train. I started watching them because just kind of some of the timings that worked out when they were playing that I could watch both, and there was no other good games on. So I am all in on the Navy midshipmen as one of my second picks. Like I said, I will update everything. How do you feel about Alabama, Missouri? Alabama drops to 15. Missouri, I don't know if you heard the story of Missouri's quarterback?
Not really, but I know they got absolutely killed a couple of weeks ago.
They did. They did.
Mm-hmm.
So last week they played Auburn. Brady Cook is his name.
Yep.
He pretty solid quarterback coming in. Probably one of the better quarterbacks in the country, to be honest. Or at least like top 15. They did get destroyed against A&M. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he went out in the second series on Saturday's game against Auburn. Got hurt, went to the hospital.
Oh, I did hear about this, and he came back. Yeah,
then he came back and he won the game.
Yep.
How could you not root for that kind of guy?
I remember seeing the quote now where it was like, I only had 2.5 home games left. I'm not spending them in a hospital. And then he came back and this feels like an Alabama get-right game, and I just feel like the second I doubt it, they're going to do it. So maybe if I say it out loud, they won't.
Because they are at Alabama. They are in Tuscaloosa, so...
Okay.
That
one will be intriguing. I know you mentioned Navy a little bit ago. Yeah. How cool would that even just be in the first round of the college football playoff if the 5 is like Georgia and the 12 is Navy, and you just have triple option going up against a powerhouse? I want to see that. I want them to rise high enough to do that. I don't know if they will. Obviously, a huge opportunity against Notre Dame to do it.
It's one of those because Army is ranked right above them at 23. They both are in a conference now. If they're undefeated conference winners, they are they're in the American Conference. They're not independent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, it would be. I don't know who you take at that point. Like, obviously, right now, Boise State is ranked, but Boise State has a loss. Would you take a 1-loss Mountain West team or an undefeated American team as the automatic qualifier? And if you pick the other, could one of them get in as an at-large bid? If you say BYU ends up getting not BYU, Boise State, they're ranked 17th right now. Say they run the table, they end up at 11. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're a 1-loss Mountain West winner.
Well, and their 1 loss is to the number 1 ranked team in the country by a field goal. So they're rooting for Oregon the rest of the year. They're like, roll Ducks, right? So if that happens,
a field goal loss against a team that has now looked like one of the best teams in the country.
Beat Ohio State.
So it's like, okay, if you were going to lose a game, you stayed in it and you were in it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
You won everything else. Could you see a 1-loss Boise State team in the playoff and then a group of 5 and an undefeated Army Navy team? Could you see that?
I would say so. Well, it's like, they have the resume, right? Like the whole argument with Boise State outside of that game is they haven't beaten anybody, but they almost beat the literal best team in the country right now. And they've got a great storyline. I won't be honest. I want to see Michael Myers in the college football playoff. Like that'd be pretty cool. I think you say 1-loss Mountain West team, and it's like, probably not. But then you dive into their resume, and you're like, no, this is actually good of a resume as you could have at this point.
Right. And then, in the same vein as like an Army or Navy, obviously they have to play each other, but they have predicted this when they're making the 12-team playoff. They are ignoring the Army Navy game at the traditional game at the end of the year, that as it wouldn't count as like a second game, because if they both run the table, they would be in the American Championship game week 1. Week 2 is Army Navy game. They'd play each other in back-to-back weeks. Weird scenario, really cool, but I don't know, man. Like if you're an undefeated American team in Army or Navy, either one, you both would have to beat Notre Dame. You have a win. Your resume is equally as good as BYU's.
That is true. Oh, I see we got LSU, Texas A&M this week too. A&M's got the best recruiting class for the next year, so that's interesting. It's a good week.
Yeah, but so here's my thing: Army doesn't play Notre Dame for another 3 weeks, or they don't play them until the 23rd for a month.
Okay.
Navy plays them now. Does it matter? I think it matters that Navy's going to get them first.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because then they're going to jump Army, and Army's going to be chasing them the whole time, and then if Notre Dame loses, Army is hoping Navy loses this week because then they could have a highly ranked Notre Dame team to play in a couple weeks.
Right, it helps their strength of schedule, regardless of what happens later. Right? Yeah. Then you're rooting for them.
So no one wants to see Notre Dame beat the two armed forces team. No one wants to see that.
It's worst case scenario.
But Notre Dame, I mean, they're another one. They would have to be an at-large because they're independent.
Mm-hmm.
They still have to play Navy, Army, USC. Virginia's not awful.
Yeah.
Florida State is awful, but
USC that was ranked once upon a time is now 3-4. They play them too.
Yeah. So it's and USC took number 4 Penn State to the wire.
Yeah. That's another take I have. Okay. I don't want to shift gears on your show, but
let's do it.
Penn State, Wisconsin. I know it's only minus 6.5. Perfect. Has Penn State done anything to impress you so far this year? I know Wisconsin's not a great football program at the moment, but is Penn State going to be able to cover that?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Drew Aller hater, but
they have. I have been a Penn State hater. Not needed because they always lose to my boys, which is fine.
Is this the big game they lose? Quotes around big game.
I can't wait for the following week. Penn State, Ohio State. That game's going to be wild. And they get Ohio State at home. But to answer your question, I have seen enough Penn State games that I like their offense now. They got in a new offense, a guy who does a lot more motion, trick plays. Their offense is a lot more dynamic and not one-dimensional, which is what Penn State's problem has been for years under James Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
They've done backwards passes, reverses, fullback, screen. Their offense looks actually dynamic, and they're letting Drew Aller make plays. I could still see them slip up, but I think they roll Wisconsin. But that's more of how I feel about Wisconsin than how I feel about Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not bad. It's a sneaky game. I could see the Badgers covering it, but let's look at the team. I mean,
they got beat by a tight end, right?
They got
Warren kid.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. He caught 17 passes or something.
Yeah,
but the Badgers, they lost by 17 to USC, who's been proven to be a pretty bad team. Then they didn't put up Alabama, also not Alabama of old, and got rolled by 30. One was at home, one was away. I understand you go away to USC, fine, whatever.
Yeah, they were with USC too. They gave up 20-something unanswered. They were up at the half, and I was like, wait a minute, and then they rolled over and died. But
yeah, I don't know if let's see, they're 5-2 now. Boom, boom.
I've said 7-5 all year. I'm going to stick by it. I'd be very grateful for 8-4, but they'd have to win this game.
Right. Let's assume Penn State, Oregon are losses is what they should have happen. 5-4. They'd have to go 2-1 against Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. 2 of those being road games.
Iowa worries me. Yeah.
Iowa would be the Nebraska. They should beat Nebraska.
Now they should. I was worried about Nebraska a couple weeks ago too, and now they've fallen off a cliff. But
yeah, but then Minnesota beat USC,
right? Yeah.
So it's Iowa, I think, is their other loss to put them at 5-5. Hard for me to say they're going to sweep Nebraska, Minnesota in back-to-back weeks. That is hard for me to imagine. I could see them splitting 6-6 bowl game. That's not out of the realm of possibility, but. Starting 5-2 and ending 6-6, is Luke Fickell on the hot seat?
If you go backwards a game, I think the seat warms up. I still think someone
Early
in
enough.
his spot. I mean, this is year 3, or no, this is year 2-ish.
Two.
Yeah, this is year 2. You got to let the full recruiting class get through and let him build something. And then, if we're 4 years in, and we'll do the math here out of 48, if we're 4 years in and they're a 26-22 program, people are going to be pretty pissed, right? So this would be a great year for him to distance himself from that 500 mark and go 7-5, 8-4. That would also be great. I don't think the seat's that warm until if they're in this same spot next year, or we're going to start to start the time bomb.
Do you think that changes it all with? And we can get out of here in a little bit, but do you think that changes it all with how NIL and all that is now? Because you don't really need the answer. Like you can look at it. You can look at Indiana, and I'll do my 3 picks together, and then we can get out of here. But Indiana, you have a new coach. A lot of guys came with him from JMU, who was a successful team last year. Do you really need, if you were a good coach, I liked the hire of Luke Fickell. I don't want to, I understand he's an Ohio State guy, and I fucking hate him for that. But in general, I thought it was a good hire by the Badgers. So they got a big name guy. It worked. It sounded like it worked. But you look at Indiana and be like, why can't Wisconsin be Indiana?
Why can't they flip it in 1 year, right? Indiana was 3-9 last year, I believe.
Right. Indiana, I'm sorry, Indiana, Bloomington is not a more desirable location than Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah. They beat Wisconsin as a 3-9 team last year, by the way. Just throw that in there. But yeah, when it rains, it pours. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think just in general going forward, coaches are going to have a hotter seat quicker with the portal, and you can flip a team? You can have an Indiana or Illinois, because I don't know. BLMO's been there a couple years, but Indiana, just because we're in the Big Ten, Kirk Cignetti has flipped that program around immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the seat gets a little hotter. No, you make a good point, because with the portal being so active, theoretically, you can change. I mean, we're seeing it right now. If Indiana goes out and wins 10, 11 games, we're talking college football playoff, and it looks like they're on track to. We'll have to see what happens with the Big Ten.
They're already bowl game. They're already won 7 games. They're already guaranteed a bowl game. So
I think, the expectation flips a little, right? You got to change it in 2 to 3 years as opposed to 3 or 4.
Right. So that's why I think if they can't get to 500 and they don't improve, oh man! And when Badger fans, you had Jim Leonard right here.
Yeah,
you had him, and you said
that's true.
No, go away. And he's like, all right, I guess. Is he even coaching right now?
I don't think so. And the issue with what's happening right now is it's a slippery slope, because the Badgers, if what you just predicted plays out, they are fighting to be in the top half of the Big Ten, which I don't know the last time that's been said about this Wisconsin program. So now, from a recruiting perspective, not only are you going to have to find guys who really believe in Luke Fickell and not so much the recent results, you're going to have to find guys who look at that schedule and go, Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State,
Michigan, Indiana.
Indiana. We have to play these guys, and we have to go out and beat them. Otherwise, my college football experience is not going to be that good. Oh, wait a minute. Right. Why don't I just go there instead? Right. That's where things get real slippery, because some of those other teams are more active than Wisconsin is in the portal.
I kind of see how Wisconsin is looking at the new Big Ten as how Florida looks at the SEC.
Yeah.
Florida has a gauntlet of a schedule, and they're not doing well, but you're going to have the same thing. I have to play Texas, Alabama, in back-to-back weeks. What the?
Yeah, and this team
I don't want to do that.
Last year,
let me go to them.
Yeah,
I now I know I've been a proponent of anti-Wisconsin, but they benefit. I think this is showing how much the old style benefited Iowa. Not Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois was on that side, or was they on my side? Indiana was on my side.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, Northwestern maybe was on your side. I don't know exactly, but that East versus West in the old day of the Big Ten, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State ate each other up
all the time.
You only have you didn't really you might have had to play 2 of them, depending on how the crossovers happen.
Mm-hmm. You had all the ranked teams. Yep.
even if you miss them, well, USC probably will still be relevant in and out. Minnesota, if PJ Fleck stays, is going to have their ebbs and flows. Nebraska seems to at least be on the right track with Matt Rule. Michigan is whatever. Iowa's always consistent. Ohio State will always be up. Like, you are slipping away and you're not progressing. It's tough.
Yeah.
But let me get to my last pick. So I mentioned two of them. My picks for college football this week are Boise -3.5. That is on Friday's game, 9:30 slate. Then I have Indiana at Washington because I saw what Indiana just did to Nebraska, and they are going to take revenge on Washington for me. And then I have Navy at Notre Dame. Oh, no, excuse me. I have this wrong. Notre Dame is at Navy.
Yep.
Plus 14.5. Those are my three picks. I'm excited for this week. A lot of more football. I try to keep my weekends open. I just try to watch football. It's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
But that will do it from us. Corey, I appreciate you filling in, my man.
Yeah, no problem.
You can where I know I mentioned it earlier. Where can they all find you, whether on your radio or what you got going on? I know you're doing a lot of stuff, calling games on the radio, volleyball, soccer. What do y'all got?
Yeah. So if you look up 1430 ESPN, actually you don't have to do the 1430 part. If you look up ESPN Beaver Dam on Google, always live streaming, 24/7. I am on there from 4 to 5. We do, as T-Bone said, it's called the Damn Sports Show. So it's Packers, Badgers, Brewers, Bucks, and then there's like a local prep scene that takes up about 25% of the show. And then, I'm freelancing for UW Green Bay right now, so you can catch me on some of those streams in the fall. I don't know if they're going to have me much in the winter. Their basketball program's a pretty big deal, so I might have to wait a year to break into that. But then, you never know.
You're in the program. You're in the program. You're there. No problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
We're doing stuff there. And then, Armchair Fantasy Football. If you type those words into the search queue in YouTube, you can find me there. We'll go over sleepers and stuff. I'm probably going to be talking a lot about the Buccaneers the next few weeks because we're going to learn about their receiving core, probably starting with Trey Palmer and Sterling Shepard. So, yep, that's me for now.
Cade Otton. Bump him up.
Cade Otton, definitely. Yep, big tight end guy. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate it. You can find them all there. You can find us at MV3 Pod on all their socials, podcasts, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that on TikTok. Twitch, my own personal one, Coach_Gets, and then MV3 Pod everywhere else. That will do it for us this week, and we will see you next week. Maybe Keith is alive. Who knows at this point? I don't. But I appreciate it again, and we will see you guys later. Peace out.
The only thing with the White Sox, I say, they've been coasting into the playoffs, and Tampa Bay's been having to win. It just depends on who gets hot.
The Philadelphia Eagles do have an opportunity.
To be honest, I thought you were going to say the Atlanta Falcons.
No, fuck no.
Oh, God, yeah. That would have been warranted.
Paul George to show up again, and they need Reggie Jackson to be the best point guard left standing outside of Trae Young, who's hurt.